Hi everyone, my name is Paje Rey and you are watching the Christian Entrepreneur Movement. It's the place where you want to be to get clear on your mission, follow your calling, and achieve success the God-driven way. I'm so excited to introduce to you our special guest for today. Her name is Kathy Han, and she is passionate about helping women establish their online coaching business so that they can live their lives by design instead of by default. Hi Kathy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. I'm really excited to share kind of like what I call my ministry really is helping people see the much bigger picture and how it all fits together.
Yes, I love that. And you know what? I want this to be a place. I know that you share this in your website, but for those who may not be familiar with your work at the moment, could you share more about your experience? I know 7 years ago you encountered, a life-changing event in your life. And do you mind talking to us about it and how it changed your life and the best lessons that you've learned from that experience?
Absolutely. So just to kind of set the stage, I pretty much my entire life, I've kind of had like a lot of trauma. And for the longest time, I kind of used that as kind of like my crutch. Mm-hmm. I was in this victim mentality, and I found myself like constantly repeating these types of patterns and allowing these types of things to continue to happen to me because I was in that victim mode. And so just to kind of set that stage for you, it was about 7-8 years ago, I was in an abusive marriage. And I had missed probably 6 months of work at a time because I had such crippling depression and anxiety. It was so bad that I was hospitalized 3 different times. The last time I was hospitalized, it was because I had overdosed on 32 prescription sleeping pills in an attempt to take my life. And so probably the catalyst for me at that point was after overdosing and them wheeling me out to the ambulance on a stretcher is hearing my 2-year-old sobbing and screaming as she runs upstairs to where my dad was living, saying, "Mommy die, Mommy die." And I remember saying, "God, if you can do whatever it takes to keep me here, to be a mom, I will change my life. I will inspire others." And I spent 9 days in the hospital. When I got out, I left my abusive marriage. I went on to get an MBA. I'm remarried. I am now, over the summer, I went to 12 different countries. I was a seminary graduate student. I am changing the trajectory of lives literally all over the world. And I don't say that to impress you. I say that to impress upon you. That doesn't matter like how dark your situation looks at this very moment. You can make the conscious decision that I'm going to commit to changing this trajectory immediately. So I know I get emotional every time I tell that story, but that's just a small piece of it.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing that moment of vulnerability with us. I think, the best lessons really in life comes from our darkest moments. And it's very empowering to be able to see you transcend from this dark moment in your life. And now you've accomplished so much, like you've mentioned, you were changing a lot of women's lives. And that drive that you're getting, when you told the story about how you got that strength to keep going when you heard your daughter's voice, it really is, I think, a reflection too of the strength of being a woman. I think a lot of us, we have this desire to make an impact, not for our sake, but really for the sake of the people that we love around us.
Absolutely. Yeah. And probably the biggest lesson from all of that is like, I had spent so much time looking like internally at like what was wrong with me that I couldn't function as a mom or as an employee or as a wife because I just kept looking internally rather than looking to him, God, for that strength that I needed. And when I asked him consciously for that help, it was given to me.
That's amazing. And so, Kathy, you coach a lot of women, and, obviously you have a really deep understanding of what different women in their different stages go through. Are there certain commonalities that you see them kind of, issues that you can see a lot of women are trying to overcome?
Yeah, absolutely. And, one of the biggest things that I teach my clients is that oftentimes, like, their dream client is them, like a transition ago, at least one transition ago, or, a couple of years ago. And so for me, like, I've always been a really high achiever. However, like, it was all like a highlight reel. Everybody thought I had this incredible, perfect life. But they didn't know, like, the demons that I've been facing since I was a little kid: sexual abuse, drug addiction, victim of human trafficking, like all of these really big, scary things that nobody should ever have to go through in life. But they saw me as this perfect person. And because I was relying on myself, I wasn't able to, it was kind of like a house of cards, really. It just came falling down. And I think that with a lot of women out there, that's how they feel. Like, they feel like they have the weight of the world on their shoulders, but it doesn't have to be like that. You don't have to look internally. Like, they don't have to do this alone. They just have to ask for that help. And God, how do you see this working through my life? Like, how can I, like, move forward with this?
And so with a coaching program that you help them build, like you mentioned, a lot of women feel like they have the weight of the world on their shoulders. What are some ways that you coach them so that they can actually start letting go of these things? Let's imagine you're coaching some of our viewers right now, and they have this feeling like they have the weight of the world in their shoulders. What is something that they can do right now, right after watching this interview, so that they can actually change that?
Okay, that's a really good question. So what I do is I essentially help women launch and scale their online coaching businesses. And so a lot of my clients, they are like the quintessential, like, perfect, like, high achiever, where they have checked off all of the boxes in life, like marriage, have kids, nice corporate job, nice house, all of these things that don't really, like, mean much. And that reason is they feel like they're not living their life's purpose, and that they're, like, dying inside. And so when I had tried to kill myself, it wasn't because I wanted to die. It's because I was living a life, like, unlived. Like, I wanted so much more, and I had so much despair. And so if you or any of these listeners out here want to change that trajectory and actually want to feel like they are making a difference, the first thing you want to get clear on is, who are you meant to serve? Once you figure out who you're meant to serve, you can then figure out how you're meant to serve. And some people think, oh, well, I'm really good at doing this, so I should, like, help people with accounting or whatever. But that may not be what lights you up, because you got to think about it as kind of like this trinity. It's got to be something that you can monetize, something you're really good at, and then something that you're passionate about. Because then once you get all of those three pieces together, that's when you can, like, really, like, take it and run.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs watching today, they actually, if a lot of coaching businesses out there really say, oh, you got to find your ideal client. You got to have this, this character in mind so that you can formulate your products and whatnot a certain way, right? But I think a lot of us actually get stuck trying to figure out who our ideal clients are. So how can we figure out, you've touched about this a little bit. You said that our ideal clients are often who we were, right? And so I think that's very powerful when you put it that way, because oftentimes it's not so much that we have to create this whole new persona, but then we just actually have to remember, like, who we were and use that as I guess, like a blueprint to
Right.
determine our ideal clients. So is that something that you can touch more about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do actually have a gift for our readers that is an ideal client workbook. It's an actual like workbook that will help them see exactly who their ideal client, their dream client is. And it's not just a like, who am I meant to serve? It's like, what does she look like? What is her name? Where does she go shopping? Like, what does she do in her free time? Like, I've got it down. My ideal client's name is Amy. She's an amazing
Wow.
cook. She does all of these crazy things. She's an adrenaline junkie, loves to travel, like all of these things. In that workbook, it'll help like walk you through what that person looks like. I even have it so that way they can like go out to Pinterest and create what I call a blend board where they can put all these pieces together and see exactly what she looks like or he looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I like working with women, but I have lots of clients that work with men or women.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I know that when we were talking on the phone, you spoke about, this event that you're putting together where you were helping women essentially get a head start with their business. So I want you to be able to talk more about this and maybe invite our viewers on how they can be part of it.
Absolutely. So this summer, I'm still nailing down locations and dates, but tentatively it's going to be around July in a castle or chateau in Europe. So right now, like one of my signature programs is called Weekend to Launch, where we'll fly somewhere, they'll get their hair and makeup done, a professional branding photo shoot, and their entire like funnel, their sales funnel, all of it done in a weekend. However, I recognize the need for community, which is what really lights me up. And so now I'm moving that into a retreat model. I'm going to be bringing in experts to help facilitate some of these different components. And so this will be done, like that Weekend to Launch would be done as a retreat where there's a lot of high vibe women who are very high caliber, who are high achievers, really want to like conquer things. And so if you have a US based phone number, you can text the word castle to 444-999. So castle to 444-999. Otherwise, I'll have a link for you where you can just opt in to be notified first when I announce the details for the retreat.
That's awesome. That sounds so lovely. You get your hair and nails done. It's like the perfect entrepreneur woman's retreat.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, I'm glad that you mentioned that because I think, especially in the Christian community, there's such a big stigma around like money, period, and wanting to like take care of ourselves. But see, the way that you need to think about it is this. In order to save a lot of people, you need a lot of money. I don't want to just change 5 people's lives. I want to impact nations, literally, and that takes a lot of money.
Yes.
For example, last year I did 350 volunteer hours starting a ministry for Congolese refugees in my area. I would not have been able to do that if I was chained to a corporate desk and doing all these things. Yeah, like I wouldn't have been able to do that. But now, like, I've saved lives doing this. And so for me, like my vision for the future is like being able to go to like all these countries like Africa and like Thailand, places that we have women and children who are subject to human trafficking just because that's so very near and dear to me. Like I would love to bring some high vibe entrepreneurial women in there to like show them business, how to like scale and up level their lives so that way they don't have to face that choice of human trafficking. That's just kind of like my vision.
Yeah, that's very powerful. I love that you're sharing that. I think, like you mentioned, a lot of Christians are very uncomfortable when they talk about money and whatnot. But in fact, a lot of the entrepreneurs that we have doing this interview series are not only running a very profitable business on their own, but they're also very active to in their communities and in their churches. And I think that's really where the power is. Money is just a tool for us to be able to use for for a greater purpose, for a vision that we have. And, I'm so grateful that you voiced out your vision to be able to help women and children who are, um, who are in troubled areas where they have to succumb to, human trafficking. And, these are topics that are very hard to understand, especially if, if you're living in the Western world, right? Like a lot of us are very safe in our own home, and and I think it's very powerful. Like we have the tools we have here to be able to make that change. And like you mentioned, what we're doing, especially building communities. I love that you really honed into like the importance of having a community, because as a person, we can change some lives, but coming together as a community, we can change so much more.
Absolutely. Beautifully put.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be able to share to our viewers this interview. I'm so glad that you shared with us your moment of vulnerability. And now a lot of our entrepreneurs, entrepreneurship is ups and downs, right? And I'm sure that there's someone out there who is just so glad to be able to hear your message. And keep doing what you're doing. I'm so excited. I look forward to hearing more about your event, and keep us updated. It's gonna be
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got some planning schedules here coming up in the next couple of weeks, so I'm hoping to get that ball rolling very quickly. So
That sounds amazing. It sounds so fun. Can you imagine, ladies? It's gonna be at a chateau in Europe and having your nails and hair done. And not only that, but you'll come out of that retreat with your business.
ready to launch, like you're ready to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the best part. And you know what? The friendships that you're going to make in that retreat is
Oh,
priceless.
lifelong
Yes,
friendships, maybe even like business connections, joint ventures, a mastermind partner. I mean, that's
exactly.
totally invaluable. That's why I wanted that community aspect to it.
I love it. I love that idea. Thank you so much, Kathy. I'm so excited for this year. I know it's going to be phenomenal for you and for all the ladies. I hope that, go ahead and join Kathy. It's going to be an amazing year.
Thank you. I
Thank you
appreciate
so
that.
much. So guys, Kathy and I would love to hear from you. What is your favorite part about this conversation? And I'm sure that you have something here that you would love to share with your friends and family. So please go ahead and click share and, let your friends and family join us in the Christian entrepreneur movement.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.